Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 19th April, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 11. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, make BCCI a public body, law panel. So this is the Law Commission of India now recommending that BCCI, Board of Control for Cricket in India, be made into a government body, a public body. So public here means government. So public body means it's a government entity. It should be declared so. So BCCI is a 90-year-old organization. Its board and all its members, cricket associations, state associations and other associations like railways, etc. They should be brought under the RTI is also being suggested by the Law Commission of India. So Law Commission we had discussed yesterday too. It had recommended simultaneous elections in its draft white paper as such which it had released, and now this is another recommendation which has come forth. So we say the Law Commission, which is headed by former Supreme Court Judge Justice B.S. Chauhan, has also given its 128-page report to the Union Law Minister, in which it says that a private citizen should be able to move the highest court against the BCCI for any violation of fundamental rights. So violation of fundamental rights, actually public entities, government bodies are approached against, but then there is, because fundamental rights are a restriction on the government. So there should be restrictions on BCCI in the same manner too. If fundamental rights of any citizens are violated by BCCI, they should be able to move the judiciary, including the Supreme Court. So this is the suggestion. It has concluded, the Law Commission has concluded that BCCI exercise state-like powers, means government-like powers in the regulation of cricket, and therefore it comes under the definition of state under fundamental rights. So the Law Commission says that BCCI virtually acts as a national sports federation, which is a government entity. So it has recommended that the ministry as such should explicitly mention BCCI under the list of national sports federations. So then it will automatically come under the purview of RTI Act also. So it is as good as a state, a government body. This is re-emphasized by the Law Commission, saying that the cricket board was permitted de facto to represent the country at the international stage. So that means it's a government entity. Also selected players wore the national colors, the tricolor, and were recipients of Arjuna Awards. And also ICC, International Cricket Council, has recognized BCCI as the official body representing India. So this all suggests that it should be a government entity, and it is de facto government entity. So this is the Law Commission's recommendation. Here you can see the details about BCCI given. So the financial status which it possesses and the commercial success which it has seen, and also the recent cases which had come forth about tampering as such, ball tampering during the IPL matches, had resulted in Supreme Court also setting up the Lodha Commission, which had given its recommendation, have been put into effect for the BCCI. So now Law Commission has also pitched its suggestions. So BCCI is actually registered as a society under Tamil Nadu Societies Registration Act. So this was how it started, as a charitable organization, and this status finally was withdrawn in December 2009, which went into effect from 2006 itself. There is also a National Sports Development Bill 2013 which has been drafted, which favors all national sports federations being treated as public authorities under RTI. So this, after you can see the Supreme Court appointed Lodha Committee after IPL spot fixing controversy, and it has given its suggestions, reforms for the board structure, functioning, and it has all been put into effect to some extent too. And 4-member committee which has been appointed to run the BCCI is presently functioning. So that is it. Also the Central Information Commission has favored to bring BCCI under the RTI. Then next is no pollution reduction targets in central plan. So central government has come forth with a draft National Clean Air Program. So this draft has been published as such. It's a draft, so means it will it's open to public comments till May 17, and then the final National Clean Air Program would be published. So this actually comes after the Environment Ministry had given its assurance in the Supreme Court in March 2018 that it will come up with the program which will aim to reduce pollution in specific cities, around 100 cities, where pollution will be reduced by 35% in next 3 years and by 50% in 5 years. But then the draft which has come forth is not having these figures as such mentioned. So there are no specific pollution reduction targets in the draft as the Environment Minister had stated in the Supreme Court. So this is the point. So around 100 cities apart from Delhi, also Delhi as such would be taken under the program for addressing air pollution. So the draft as such, the program also envisions setting up 1,000 manual air quality monitoring stations. So this will be an increase in 45% from the present air quality monitoring stations, and also there will be automatic stations, to around 268 automatic stations. Presently there are only 84, and this is for the first time that this National Clean Air Program also talks of setting up pollution monitoring stations in rural areas too, not just in cities but also in rural areas. So this is there. So this is the earlier statement given in which the target was set, specific targets were set, but now the draft as such does not speak of these targets. Then next is Uttarakhand responsible for its wildlife. So this is the central government stating, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, stating in the National Green Tribunal, it informed the National Green Tribunal that under the Wildlife Protection Act, you should know that wildlife as such comes under concurrent list in the constitution, means both the central and state government have a role to play here. But then the Uttarakhand government actually was pulled up by the NGT, National Green Tribunal, on a petition which was filed in NGT, which stated that the Himalayan blue sheep, the bharal, this sheep which is found in the Gangotri National Park in Uttarakhand, is suffering from an infectious disease. So this was alleged in the petition, and this disease can have adverse impact on humans too. So the government needs to take action. So first NGT had asked the state government to submit an action plan, and when the central government was called in, the Ministry of Environment, it stated that it is the role of responsibility of the Uttarakhand government to protect the species in Gangotri National Park. Central government already has given assistance as a centrally sponsored scheme, integrated development of wildlife habitats. So under its amount has been released to the state government of Uttarakhand, and state government is now responsible. So this is the submission of the central government. So here Uttarakhand and the national parks, biosphere reserves are shown here. So here you can see Gangotri lies here. So this is Govind Pashu National Park, Rajaji National Park, Jim Corbett National Park, Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve, all located in Uttarakhand, which you should know borders China, Nepal, has international borders, plus also Himachal Pradesh, UP as its states bordering it. And this is the bharal, the Himalayan blue sheep. It's a goat antelope found in hill areas in Himalayas, and it's a major food for snow leopards here. Then next is Centre proposes relaxation of coastal regulation zone norms. So the central government has proposed a draft version for modification to India's coastal regulation zone plan. So India's coastal regulation zone plan, which is there, CRZ 2011 presently, it is proposed to be modified, and there is a draft version which has been put forth on the Environment Ministry's website. So this is giving the state governments leeway, powers to decide how development should take place along India's coasts. So they have been made more accessible to tourism and industrial infrastructure if individual states give this leeway. So this freedom is being given. Under the CRZ 2011 norms, which are there presently effective, regions along the 7,000 kilometer long coast of India, here buildings, tourism facilities, industry projects, residential facilities are highly regulated. So the most of the cases along this coast, the high tide line to 500 meters towards the landward side is the coastal zone. So CRZ1 is the most highly regulated region. So here it's the most ecologically sensitive area covered, and according to current laws, it is off limit for tourism activities, infrastructure development, except for defense, strategic and rare public utilities projects. So this new CRZ 2018 draft version which has come forth, these norms allow nature trails, ecotourism activities permitted in this CRZ1 region provided states approved. Provided they are state approved. So state approved coastal zone management plans would be there. So this is the modification done, that even in CRZ1 activities would be allowed. Plus also for other regions, CRZ2, that is the coastal regulation zone 2. CRZ2, it is said that present norms are that up to 200 meters. As such, there is declared as a no development zone. Means from the high tide line to 200 meters. But now under the new norms under CRZ 2018, this is also reduced to 50 meters, up to 50 meters. And also that too provided that the population density is exceeding 2,161 per square kilometer as per census 2011. So this is there. So you should know that coastal zone definition as such also, what is it under CRZ 2011? It is from high tide line up to 100 meters of the creek. So it may be any water body like tidal influence bodies such as bays, estuaries, rivers, etc. So this also coastal zone definition has been relaxed under CRZ 2018, that this would be not up to 100 meters but up to 50 meters. So this is the gist of the changes which have been made from on the coastal regulation zone rules from 2011 to 2018. The next is National Portal to share research facilities soon. So central government is having an online portal which will become operational soon. This is called iSTEM. So Indian Science, Technology and Engineering Facilities Map. So what is being proposed is this initiative of the Center for Nanoscience and Engineering of Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. So what they are doing is that they are collating information about scientific research equipments and facilities which are procured using public funds. Public funds means government funds. So these which are equipments and facilities which are available at academic institutions and research organizations across the country, the entire information will be collected and put forth on this portal. So researchers in any college, institute or any research organization can check, reserve and have easy access to even expensive research equipments and facilities anywhere in India. So this is an initiative taken. So this will bring down the costs. There will be no duplication of these equipments and facilities also is being proposed. So both academic, non-academic work can be undertaken by researchers through online reservation system which will be put into effect, iSTEM. So this is already there's such an initiative undertaken. This is the Indian Nano Electronic Users Program as such. So this model has been replicated of IIT Bombay as such. So this has been in operational since 2008. So sophisticated device fabrication and analytical instruments are available to academic researchers across the country under this INUP. The next is enhanced telecom in left-wing extremism regions. So now the government has proposed that mobile communication in regions affected by left-wing extremism would be further enhanced by more than 4,000 mobile towers which will be installed in across 10 states at a cost of 7,300 crore rupees. This will be funded through USOF, Universal Service Obligation Fund. We have discussed USOF earlier too and we'll discuss it once again right now too. So the proposal here is to provide calling as well as internet facility to security forces and citizens in 96 districts across these 10 states. So this is actually the second phase of the project. The first phase already was initiated in 2014 and completed in 18 months. So there only 2G connectivity was provided in the first phase. Second phase is providing 3G and 4G connectivity. Also the first phase was implemented by BSNL. So this is a PSU. But now actually with this second phase as such for BSNL to be implemented, it will be difficult because BSNL currently does not have 4G spectrum. Though it has asked Department of Telecommunication to provide it 4G services. So BSNL functions in all across country except Delhi and Mumbai where MTNL is functional, the PSU. And this is regarding USOF, Universal Service Obligation Fund. So this is a corpus fund which is used to provide rural area with telephone connectivity, mobile connectivity and now internet services too. So this is through the Department of Telecommunication that this fund is being operational, and the money comes in this fund through the contribution by telecom operators. So 5% of their gross revenue, adjusted gross revenue every year is being paid to the fund. So then this rural areas can be provided with mobile towers, etc. And this is how this initiative is also being funded. So 3G, 4G services will be made available here. So it improves the communication in these left-wing extremism regions, which also benefits the security officials. Then next is olive ridley return for rare mass nesting. So this is regarding olive ridley turtles. So we have been discussing them for some time now. So actually they come for mass nesting along Indian coast, specifically the Orissa coast. And here the week-long mass nesting has taken place in the month of February, ended on February 27th. Then after this nesting means they lay their eggs here, they dig and lay their eggs under the sand, and then these eggs hatch. So the hatching has also started in April, mid-April. So this is the present scenario. Rushikulya, Rukuri in Orissa coast is also one major mass nesting site here. And presently what is being seen is that mass hatching is going on of the eggs, and now another batch of mass nesting is taking place here in the month of April. So this is the first time that such a phenomena of major nesting has taken place along Indian coast. So sometimes it has been seen that once mass nesting has taken place, another set of mass nesting happens, but that happens in a short interval, like in the month of February and then in March or so. But now when mass hatching has begun and mass nesting taking place, this is being seen for the first time. And it is also being said that this should be studied as such too. This late recurrence of mass nesting should be studied by wildlife experts. This is there. Here you can see the map shows the mass nesting sites along the Odisha coast. This is the Rushikulia river and mass nesting site here. Another one is here, the Gahirmatha, and along the Mahanadi river, the coast here too. And the other areas, there is sporadic nesting, not mass nesting, but one-off nesting takes place here in these regions too. Then next is more to cash crunch than supply issues. So the cash crunch which is being seen presently, ATMs gone dry across the country. So here there are demand issues as well as supply issues. The demand related issues are clear because post demonetization, government has also tried to keep the cash GDP ratio low. So it has also promoted digitization, digital transactions. So this being promoted is not actually sufficient enough to replace the cash requirement, cash flow in the economy. So that aspect is there. Apart from that, it is said that elections which are due in various states, that has also resulted in cash demand being increased and it's resulted in cash crunch. Also, the government saying that they are increasing the printing of currencies. This shows that there is a demand and that is unmet. And that is why printing is also taking place. Then, apart from this, the article argues that there are supply issues too. That not just there is high demand, but supply has also been affected because post demonetization, the government printed 2000 rupees notes. And this constituted 50% of the total value of cash in the economy in March 2017. So, a year ago. So, this now has also come a little down because a little less than 50% is lower denomination currencies. So that is why when 2000 rupees notes are in such huge numbers, because quickly the 500 and 1000 rupee notes had to be replaced with, so that 2000 rupee notes were printed in large numbers. So then hoarding is taking place has also been alleged. So that has resulted in cash crunch being seen in the economy. So here you can see the details as such shown too about currency in circulation. Post demonetization it dipped, but now it has been replaced. But since 2000 notes are more, it is the cash crunch as such is being seen presently. Then next is Modi and May resolve to reduce barriers. So Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a visit to UK, and here they have both worked together, and they say a new UK-India partnership, trade partnership would be agreed upon. So this will be based on the joint trade review recommendations which have come forth to reduce barriers to trade. So focus will be on life science, IT, food and drink. Apart from this, Narendra Modi also spoke about the UK being an important trade partner and no dilution of the importance of UK would take place post-Brexit too. Also, negotiations for a separate free trade agreement based on mutual benefit would begin with UK because India-EU FTA would be different, and since UK has exited from EU, there will be a separate FTA negotiated with UK too. Also, an indirect reference was made to extradition of Vijay Mallya and Lalit Modi. So, the discussion on consular issues, including the issue of economic offenders, was discussed as such. Then, apart from this, also the issue of Chennai 6. So, Chennai 6 is a group of 6 British men who were intercepted by the Indian Coast Guard in 2013, along with 29 other crew members. They were put in the central prison in Chennai and they were released last year in 2017. So this Chennai 6 issue has become prominent because Vijay Mallya also has argued his case in UK on extradition that he should not be extradited because conditions in jail, as these British men have also described, is pathetic. So they say there were snakes, rats, one meager meal a day and denial of medical treatment to person diagnosed with cancer. So such were the conditions in the Indian jails, as these people have also stated. Then next is, why stall Aadhaar, asks UIDAI. So UIDAI is arguing the case in the Supreme Court. The 5-judge constitutional bench is hearing the Aadhaar case, and UIDAI argues that why Aadhaar should be delayed, rather there should be improvement to Aadhaar. Because conditions for authentication of Aadhaar are not restrictions, they are regulatory conditions. And there are identification requires certain kinds of demands as such are there of identification. The local level identification which takes place, that is through ration cards, etc. And these ration cards are in local languages who sometimes have no value outside their respective areas. So what Aadhaar is trying to give is an identification at the national level. So this identification is important. Plus also it says the main issue as such is not about identification. The judges have commented. They say that it is about aggregation of personal data in the central storage system. So there should not be more of information taken than desired. So this is the main issue which has been highlighted as such. Then the last news item is Trump hails good relationship with Kim. So CIA, Central Investigation Agency of US, the CIA director Mike Pompeo has visited North Korea and met the Korean leader Kim Jong-un. So this is now been asserted that US President Donald Trump may have a summit planned with Kim Jong-un. So this will be a historical moment because he will become the first serving US president to meet a North Korean leader. So former US presidents have met North Korean leaders even in Pyongyang in North Korea, but that were after their terms were over. And US President Donald Trump will become the first sitting president to meet the Korean leader. Also the Korean leaders, means North Korea and South Korea, are also preparing for their own summit too. So they would also have a summit, and it is expected that they would formally end the 1952-53 Korean War. So the Korean War which took place, in which US and China were also participating, supporting each of the Korean nations. So this has actually ended with a truce, 1953 armistice, and in this South Korea was not a party. So this war has not technically ended. There has not been a peace treaty signed. So this is also one issue. And the Korean leaders are also coming together. We also saw that the two Korean nations participated together for the Olympics also in South Korea, as in some tournaments. So this is the development here. So these are the news items. Thank you.